Hey cool kids, so this month's sketchbook tour was originally supposed to be this old box of fan art I have, conveniently called the fan art box, and I actually recorded the entire video for that, but I got about halfway through and realized that it was probably super boring to anyone who wasn't in any of like the old fandoms I was in, specifically the Yogscast, so I might save that as a bonus video on Monday, and for now I have a different random folder of art. I don't really have a title for this. It's basically just loose papers I threw together in a folder. So starting off, we have art of some of my older OCs, which if you've seen my past sketchbook tours, you might recognize. But this is Rita, Seguri, and Dee. And I was trying to design like a manga cover for them because I wanted to make their story a manga. This is an OC from an RP I used to do with my friend. This was originally my character, but I gave this character her, so this character's name is Kmart, and I was really proud of this pen sketch. And then this is my OC Aaron, but his design really hasn't changed a lot from this. This is Murray, who I for the life of me can't remember who she is or what she was from. She might have been from an old RP, or she might have just been some random character. I don't really know. And then I'm pretty sure this was just some random character, because I wanted to try drawing someone with purple hair, because I had, like, purple colored pencils. I was like, why not? And this was my OC from the RP with Kmart in it. Her name was Gina, and she was a pretty, like, generic character. I remember I recycled her for a couple of other RPs, too. She was just my go-to RP character. And this was Wally, who was my version of Kmart after my friend took Kmart. And her name was short for Walmart, because I was like, well, if Kmart's short for Kmart, what if Wally is short for Walmart? This one is actually sort of recent. Again, this is just a random collection of papers, so I don't really have specific chronological order for the art in here, but I bought this tan paper from the dollar store, and it was, like, nice quality, but it's really hard to work with because it's so dark, so I wanted to try doing a colored pencil drawing. I wasn't, like, super happy with the results, so I never finished it. And this one was another one which I planned to color. I wanted to color her in like super bright, vibrant colors to see if I could get that to show up, but I never got around to the coloring. This was an OC Zeppelin from a different comic I wanted to write. So this poor sad cut of piece of paper was my original traditional sketch for a Secret Santa present I gave to a Tumblr user named Benji, who's actually a super sweet person, and I'm really glad I got to meet them through the Secret Santa. But yeah, this was my initial pencil sketch. I don't remember why I cut it up. Also, these were dolls, but I realized, without any of the details on them, they kind of look like dicks. So just a Christmas tree of dicks. And then I drew some art on the back, too. Now this one, I remember, was from about 2012, I want to say. I think when I was in grade 10, because that's when I started developing the story with this character called Angelica. And I tried doing this daily drawing type challenge, which I kept up with for quite a while, so a lot of the art in here is from that. That's Angelica. This is Andrew, and he's from a completely different story. And I realized I drew two of my OCs 2 days in a row smoking, and that's because that's what I did whenever I had like an OC who I wanted to be cool and edgy. I was like, well, let's give them a nicotine addiction, because nothing says cool and edgy like nicotine. And this is Toby from a different story, the same one with Aaron. It's always one of my favorite OCs, and I was really proud of this picture of him. Like, looking at it, back at it now, he looks kind of like a frog, but I don't know. I like it. This was supposed to be Andrew as his younger self. I was trying to make the smoke in the shape of a heart, but it doesn't really look like that. And then this was me trying to design a dress, which I really wanted to own, and I didn't really like how this design came out. Originally, I drew this picture back in like 2010-ish, I want to say, and I was super proud of it at the time, like so proud that I had some friends coming over, and so I casually left this out on my bed so it looked like, oh, I was just working on it, so that way they'd look at it and see it and be so proud of me. But it was of Dee and Seguri and Rita, and the story behind it was that Rita was trying to get rid of Seguri, so she told him Dee wanted ice cream, and I don't know, I had a plotline worked out. And then I tried redrawing it, and I like the original better. Like, the redrawing has a little bit more in the way of, like, technique and sort of decent art, but, like, I still like the original better. And then this is an OC you might have seen in some of my past sketchbook tours, Aldrine. I think I had a cool idea going into this piece, and then I just couldn't get it to work out the way I wanted to. And I used to line a lot of my art with Sharpie fine liners, which I recently rebought a Sharpie fine liner just for the fun of it, but like whenever I line anything with it, it just reminds me of like this style of old art I used to do, and I can't use it. This was just me trying to color in a headshot with colored pencil, I don't think it was a specific character. I like how far apart her eyes look, though. Oh, and then this was my OC Chow, which I'm not sure if I spelled his name correctly, but he's always had a very special place in my heart, and so I wanted to draw out his design. I used to doodle him on my homework a lot, too. And this is one of those pieces which I was just trying to do, like, this cool, like, gothic type picture, but it didn't work out, and I wasn't happy with it, and so I never finished it. It's also done in, like, charcoal, I think, so it's super messy. So this picture is, as you can see up here, my OC Evelyn, and I was so proud of this when I did it, that it's one of those pictures that I went and I took it and I showed it to my sisters, and they were like, oh, that's kind of creepy, Melody. Why doesn't she have eyes? And it was like, it's not creepy, it's pretty. But looking back at it now, it's kind of creepy. This was a redrawing of another OC who, his name I can't remember, but I think I showed her one of the past sketchbook tours. So this one, I wrote TLDD at the bottom, but then I was like, oh, no one's going to know what I mean if I say that, so I wrote out too lazy, didn't draw. But yeah, I had this idea of this musician, and she'd be like singing, but all the words she was singing would become her dress. And I thought it'd be this really cool artsy piece, but then when I went to actually draw it, it just didn't come out how it looked in my head. This is from a style I was developing for a while, which I called the pixie style. It was basically just heavy line weight and these really over-exaggerated eyes. This is my OCs, Andrew and Abel, and I figured the story behind this was that Abel was coming back from summer camp. There wasn't really a lot more going on with this picture. I was trying to develop their, like, fashion sense a little more, and I was super proud of Andrew's apron, honestly. And I also kind of like how Abel's tights turned out, but everything else, I was just like, eh. And then these arms, like, what's going on with her arms? Because, like, if they're bent like that, her arms would go, like, down to here. Like, what was I doing? And this was originally supposed to be a drawing of Abel, but it looked too old, so I decided to be Abel's mom instead. And this is just a drawing of Beatrice Capitello, who's one of my old OCs from another sketchbook tour, and if I remember correctly, I was trying to redraw all of the original drawings I did of those characters, just to get, like, a better design down when I finally made the manga, but I never ended up actually making it, and I also never ended up finishing the sketch, so that's good. This is my OC Tabby Cat, and I remember with this picture, I decided I'd draw her in fingerless gloves because I figured, you know, she's a guitarist, and guitarists wear fingerless gloves, and it all made sense in my head, but I completely forgot about that, and I never drew her in fingerless gloves after that. And then this is another one who the idea came out better than the application. It's actually one of my earliest watercolor paintings, outside of stuff I did in, like, elementary school. I was trying to draw, like, this doll with a missing leg, and it didn't look as nice as it did in my head, and I really like her pose of just, like, shrugging, like, well, you know, it happens. This was another OC from the same story as Tabby Cat, and their name was Kai, or Central Artificial Intelligence. They were a robot, if you couldn't tell. I want to say this is just a random girl, but I'm not sure. And then this was me trying to draw a hand, like, posing it off of my own hand, so I had, like, my hand to the side, and then I was drawing with my other hand. I didn't really like how it turned out. And then this one was another concept piece of, like, this magician, and he'd be pulling his cape out, and there'd be another magician coming out of the cape, and it looked really cool in my head. And it's another one that I tried to draw, and I was like, my art styles, or my artistic ability is just not up to snuff for what I want to make. This OC, whose name I can't remember, is from the same story as Angelica, and he was basically just the main romantic interest of the story. And then this picture I drew when I woke up from a really weird dream, which was basically about this group of people, and they were trying to get a birthday present for their friend, but their friend was also an inmate on death row, and he was going to die the day after his birthday, so the main question of the dream was, what kind of present do you get for someone who's about to die? And I actually thought it was a cool concept, and I'd like to make a story sort of based around this later on, but this is another one where I was too lazy and just didn't finish drawing it. But this is sort of fan art for the book Knife's Edge. The main character, Suffy, at one point mentions when she's holding her daughter that their heartbeats are beating together, and it's like their hearts are knit together, or it was something along the lines of that. And so I wanted to draw art of that. I thought it'd be really cool if, like, both the characters were knit and then their hearts were literally knit together, but I'm lazy and I never finished it. And then we have Angelica and Angela and two OCs who, again, I think they were the main characters of the book, but I don't remember either of their names. But Yeah, I tried to draw a group picture and this pose just kills me. Like, what are you doing with your hand, child? Here's Penelope, who was another old OC of mine from a story that I never got very far with. Oh god, here's some old writing from some story. Don't know. And then a dress design, because I was trying to come up with like a cool goth prom dress or something, I think. Here I was just drawing some random facial features. And I always find it funny when I do this, because it looks like this eye is like connected to the nose and the mouth, and so like that's just all one face. I was also, I think, trying to figure out how noses and eyes are oriented together. I think this is supposed to be a drawing of, yeah, this is probably a drawing of Angelica, because I drew Angela in the same style and they're sisters. And then this is a really, really old one. I want to say from like 2006, and so I tried redrawing it later. There wasn't really a big backstory behind it. I was like, wouldn't it be cool if like there was a demon and an angel and they were sisters and we drew them together? And so that's pretty much all the story I have behind these. These are characters from a video game I wanted to make, and I was trying to come up with this cool, quirky art style for it, but the art style was kind of creepy. And then a bunch of eyes, because what else does your stereotypical high school artist draw? This is from a different comic I wanted to make called Carrot Juice, and this is going to be sort of the main character, but also sort of not. And then here we have a unicorn sketch, which I, for some reason, decided to save. I used to draw these types of unicorns all the time, all over everything. Here we have some more eyes. I think I was doing detailed eyes versus simplistic eyes, and I actually liked how the simplistic eyes worked out a little better than the detailed ones. I think partially because with the detailed ones, I just gave them like this bush of eyelashes, and it's like that's not how eyelashes work. And then here's another drawing of Abel. I thought it was always funny to draw Abel with super silly faces because she was actually a really serious character. And this thing is my OC Latrice. It was one of my first drawings of her. And yeah, that's something. I'm not sure what I was doing here. I remember this paper. I used to do a lot of like sketches on it because I thought it was like cool, like mangaka type drafting paper, but it's just poor quality paper, really. And this is my OC Connor. He's from the same story as Zeppelin, who I showed you earlier. I think he's also shown up in other sketchbook tours. And this is just some random anime girl with an intro bang, because I thought intro bangs were super cool. Yeah, I colored it in with marker, and I actually kind of like this picture. Like, I realize the anatomy of the face and everything's super off, but, like, it's got a cute style to it. I'm 90% sure this is from a tutorial on how to draw dogs I was reading online, but I still drew the eye in, like, my normal style of drawing eyes, and so it looks kind of weird. God, here's more writing. I remember this was a getting to know you assignment in one of my English classes, I think. And the basis for the assignment was what's your best quality and your worst quality, and I hate talking about myself, so I just instead did a giant, like, essay about how I don't like the defining of best and worst and all this, just so I could get out of talking about myself. And my writing teacher was like, oh wow, that's so deep, Melody, and it's like, I just don't want to tell you anything about me. This is another assignment for that same class. We had to make a shield for a character from Lord of the Flies and a shield for ourselves. And so I chose Jack Meridew, and I drew things related to Jack Meridew. And then my shield for myself, I also drew things related to me, mostly art things, a rainbow, and the whale, like, needs a little more explanation. I used to live in Washington before I moved to Canada, and so Washington's in the shape of the whale, and so whenever I'd, like, try to explain where I lived, I'd tell people, you know how Washington's shaped like a whale? And they'd go, no, is it really? Be like, yeah, anyway, I used to live in the whale's dick. Here's a red pen sketch on an orange piece of paper, which shows up super well on camera. And then this one was me trying to draw like a super pretty girl, and I tried giving her a beauty mark, but then I also like smudged green something on it, and so it looks really gross. And then we have a crayon drawing of my OC Patricia, and I actually kind of like how this one came out. I don't think I'm the one that scribbled over this. I think one of my siblings at some point got into my art and scribbled over some of it, probably like one of the younger ones. This one I actually really liked. Like, one of the perks of this super awful cheap paper is that it's got a lot of texture to it. And so like a normal pencil sketch like this looked really cool with all the grainy texture of it. I think because of the hair, I want to say this was my OC Tatiana, but I'm not sure. And then this is another one that got scribbled over. But it's another basic crayon drawing. So this one I remember I bought myself one of those 3-packs of like the metallic Sharpies because I needed them for an art assignment. And I found that if I colored with them right on this kind of paper, you can make it look sort of like a human face. And I was so proud of, like, this. I drew, like, 3 different versions of it, and then another one on this side. This is my OC Sintung, who you might remember from past sketchbook tours. And then I think this might have been Humanized My Little Pony fan art, but I don't remember. But this was also done in crayon, mainly a black one. And this probably should have been with the rest of the fan art in the fan art box. I'm not sure how it ended up in this folder. But yeah, it's Zoe Prozek. I was super proud of this when I first drew it, and then I kind of didn't like it, so I redrew it later on, and I was super proud of the redrawing until I looked at it again. I was like, nah. Okay, my mom just walked in. That was fun. And yeah, closing off on a high note, a random headshot I don't finish, because would it be a sketchbook tour without a random headshot I never finished? Oh, and then we also have the sticker from a time I tried to donate blood, and it was actually kind of depressing, because, like, before I went to donate blood, I drank an entire Venti Starbucks coffee, and I didn't realize this at the time, but coffee actually dehydrates you. So I was too dehydrated to give blood, and so I ended up not being able to give enough blood, and it was just all this big failure, and I was sad. And they gave me an I tried sticker, but they also gave me an I make a difference sticker, and so that's the one I put on my binder, so people would be like, wow, Melody, I'm so proud of you. But that's all I've got for this random art dump sketchbook tour of some sorts. So I hope you liked this. Thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you next time. Bye!